Step through the swinging doors, and you're not just entering a saloon, you're stepping into the untamed heart of the American frontier. More than just watering holes, Old West saloons were the smoky, chaotic centers of social life, where deals were struck, fortunes lost, and legends born. From the clink of poker chips to the sharp smell of whiskey, every saloon told its own gritty story. But how accurate are the Hollywood portrayals? What did these rowdy establishments really look like? In this video, we're peeling back the bat-wing doors to reveal the real details, furnishings, layouts, customs, and characters of the saloons that dotted the dusty streets of frontier towns. If you love true stories from the Wild West, full of grit, whiskey, and gunpowder, hit that subscribe button and saddle up for more history that doesn't hold back. As settlers and adventurers pushed westward across the American frontier, one type of business quickly followed them: the saloon. These establishments emerged as central hubs for social interaction, commerce, and rest. The first recorded saloon is believed to have been set up in 1822 at Brown's Hole in what is now Wyoming. It primarily catered to fur trappers working in the remote mountain regions, offering them a place to relax and exchange goods or stories. Over the following decades, saloons became increasingly common across the expanding Western territories. They welcomed a wide variety of patrons, including cowboys, soldiers, lumbermen, entrepreneurs, lawmen, miners, travelers, and gamblers. The clientele reflected the diversity of those who lived and worked on the frontier. These establishments were known by many different names depending on the region and cultural influences. Terms like cantina, grog shop, gin mill, and watering trough were all used at various times. Despite the differences in name, their purpose was largely the same. By the late 1850s, the word saloon began to appear more regularly in business directories and everyday speech. It came to describe a place that specialized in selling alcoholic beverages by the glass. While drinks were the main attraction, many saloons also offered additional services such as food, lodging, music, dancing, gambling, and, in some cases, companionship. By 1880, saloons had become deeply woven into the fabric of frontier towns. Their growth reflected not only the westward expansion of the U.S., but also the demand for rest, recreation, and community in a rugged and rapidly changing landscape. Commercial Hotel Saloon, 1910, Anaheim, California. In 1910, the saloon located within the Commercial Hotel in Anaheim, California, served as a vivid example of early 20th century Western hospitality. The establishment stood at 182 West Center Street, today known as Lincoln Avenue, at the corner of Lemon Street. The original structure was built in 1872 by Henry Kroger, Anaheim's second mayor, and was initially known as the Anaheim Hotel. Over time, the ownership changed hands. It was sold to the hotel's manager, Max Nebelung, and by 1890, the property had been renamed the Commercial Hotel. A vintage photograph from that era captures the scene inside the saloon. Two men, likely the bartender and an assistant, stand behind a long wooden bar. Several patrons are seen either seated or standing throughout the room. The back of the bar displays an assortment of liquor bottles and glassware arranged neatly in cabinets, alongside a visible cash register. 3 spittoons are placed along the brass footrail in front of the bar, a common feature of the time. The wallpapered walls are adorned with framed pictures and a wall clock reflecting the decorative tastes of the period. Lighting comes from a mix of 4 exposed electric bulbs and 2 kerosene lamps, indicating the transitional era between gaslight and full electrification. In 1905, John Ziegler purchased the Commercial Hotel. By 1916, he had replaced the original building with a more modern 4-story brick structure costing $40,000. This new hotel, named the Hotel Valencia, was constructed on the same site and remained in operation until May 1977, when it was destroyed by fire. Interestingly, Ziegler appears to have preserved elements of the original bar. Historical accounts and photos suggest the long wooden bar was reused in the new hotel. In later images, a large mirror framed by carved wood is visible behind the bar, a more ornate upgrade in keeping with the newer building style. In one such photograph, John Ziegler and a bartender are seen behind the bar, with a customer standing at the rail. Behind them are the familiar elements: liquor bottles, glassware, and a cash register. Two spittoons sit at the base of the bar, while a wooden barrel and a set of double doors, likely leading to the dining room, can be seen at the far right. Posters and a wall clock decorate the walls, and overhead, four hanging lamps provide illumination for the room. Alamo Saloon, Abilene, Kansas. The Alamo Saloon in Abilene, Kansas, was one of the most impressive saloons in the many cow towns across Kansas. In 1867, when the Kansas Pacific Railway extended westward, Abilene quickly became the first major cow town. Joseph G. McCoy played a pivotal role in this transformation, purchasing 250 acres of land, constructing the Drover's Cottage Hotel, and setting up stockyards that could accommodate 2,000 cattle along with a stable for their horses. While the railway and new shipping points spurred Abilene's growth, it also attracted a rough crowd, including gamblers, con men, cowboys, and women of questionable repute. In an effort to restore order, Abilene hired Thomas J. Bear River Smith, a capable lawman from Colorado. After Smith was tragically killed by an outlaw, Wild Bill Hickok, already famous for his sharpshooting and gunfighting abilities, was brought in as the new lawman. During this turbulent period, Hickok spent a great deal of time at the Alamo Saloon, which became something of an unofficial headquarters for him. The original Alamo Saloon was a large, long room with a 40-foot frontage and entrances at both ends. The west entrance featured 3 sets of double glass doors. Inside, the saloon's bar, with its polished brass fixtures, ran along the south side. A large mirror behind the bar reflected rows of brightly sealed liquor bottles. The walls were adorned with large, cheaply done paintings that mimicked classic nude masterpieces, and the saloon was furnished with gaming tables. It even had an orchestra that played music during peak hours. The saloon was a lively and noisy place, with the sounds of badly performed tunes, loud conversations, raucous laughter, and the occasional gunshot, all punctuating the atmosphere. One of the most famous events near the Alamo took place on the streets of Abilene. On October 5, 1871, a gunfight erupted between City Marshal Hickok and Phil Coe. At the time, a group of Texas cowboys were celebrating in the town saloons. Hickok arrested Coe for discharging a firearm within city limits. Coe later died from his injuries, marking one of the many tense moments in Abilene's history. As the cowtown days of Abilene came to an end, the original Alamo Saloon was destroyed by fire. However, years later, a 3/4 scale replica of the saloon was built in Abilene's Old Town. Today, visitors can experience a taste of the saloon's historic past at this replica, which stands as a reminder of Abilene's colorful yet turbulent frontier days. Judge Roy Bean's Saloon in Langtree, Texas. In the remote town of Langtree, Texas, Judge Roy Bean famously held court from a combination saloon and courtroom. Though never officially appointed in the traditional sense, Bean referred to himself as the only law west of the Pecos and exercised his authority with a unique flair. His decisions were unconventional yet final, and delivered in a setting that reflected the frontier spirit of the time. The saloon wasn't just a place for legal proceedings. Visitors could enjoy games like billiards and even attend opera performances, an unusual offering in such a rugged setting. Both the town of Langtree and Bean's establishment, known as the Jersey Lily Saloon, were reportedly named in honor of the English actress Lily Langtree. Though Bean never met her in person, he was deeply fascinated by her. Interestingly, she did visit the saloon in 1904, shortly after Bean's passing at the age of 78. Today, the original saloon and courtroom stand next to a visitor center in Langtree, which shares stories from Judge Bean's life and offers travel information for those exploring Texas. While Langtree has since become a near ghost town, its connection to the eccentric judge remains a point of historical interest. Elsewhere, a saloon in Meeker, Colorado offers another glimpse into frontier life. A period photograph shows two men standing behind a long wooden bar, which features towel racks for guests, a brass footrail below, and a large spittoon placed in the center of the room. Behind the bar, a finely crafted wooden back bar includes one rectangular and two oval mirrors. Reflected in the glass are the mounted heads of a deer and a bighorn sheep, symbols of the town's rich hunting culture. The countertop displays a cash register, along with a selection of bottles and glassware. From the back bar, patriotic bunting and two small American flags hang, emphasizing national pride. The walls are decorated with advertisements and a calendar, giving the space a lived-in, community-focused feel. Illumination is provided by a kerosene lamp suspended from the ceiling. A dog rests quietly on the floor to the left of the bar, adding a touch of everyday familiarity to the scene. Located in a fertile valley along the White River in northwestern Colorado, Meeker has always been relatively secluded. Unlike many towns in the state that developed around mining, Meeker evolved as a farming community. It was named after Nathan Meeker, a U.S. Indian agent who lost his life in an 1879 conflict known historically as the Meeker Incident. Today, Meeker has a population of around 2,500 and maintains its rural character. In its early days, the town attracted hunters from across the country, including President Theodore Roosevelt. The saloon image likely dates from that vibrant era, capturing the atmosphere of a community built on agriculture, hunting, and frontier traditions. Paps Saloon in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, 1901. Richard Pape, Sr., a German immigrant, became a central figure in the early development of Kingfisher, Oklahoma. After arriving in the United States in 1882 with his wife and their infant son, the family first settled in Newton, Kansas, where they opened a bakery. Like many others seeking new opportunities, they relocated to Oklahoma during the land rush of 1889. In Kingfisher, Pape quickly established himself as a community leader and entrepreneur. As one of the city's early settlers, he helped lay the foundations for what would become a thriving town. Among his business ventures was a saloon located on the 300 block of North Main Street, just south of where the Kingfisher Times office stands today. The saloon, originally opened in a building that once housed an ice cream shop, began as a single-story structure. It launched in 1889, the same year the land run transformed Oklahoma's landscape. With statehood in 1907 came statewide prohibition, which forced many similar establishments to adapt. In response, Pape's Saloon transitioned into a cafe, continuing to serve the local community under new conditions. Over time, a second story was added to the building, and it was used for various purposes across the decades. Historical photographs of the interior reveal a richly carved wooden bar with a large mirror behind it. Bottles and glassware lined the shelves, and spittoons and a brass footrail were positioned in front of the bar for customer convenience. To the right of the bar stood a sizable cigar case, hinting at the wide range of offerings available. Both the ceilings and walls were covered with patterned wallpaper and decorative elements such as posters, framed artwork, and calendars added character to the room. Lighting came from hanging lamps suspended from the ceiling, casting a warm glow across the space. A charming detail from one of the old photos shows towels hanging from the bar's edge. In an era before disposable napkins, patrons commonly used these cloths to wipe foam from their mustaches after enjoying a drink, a small but telling glimpse into everyday habits of the time. Thornton Curry Saloon, Lincoln, New Mexico. The Bank Exchange Saloon, a well-known establishment, was owned by J.Y. Thornton and George Curry. Inside, the saloon featured a billiard table, and the bar was placed at the back of the room. Behind the bar, a large mirror and shelves were visible, and a typical footrail, common in saloons of the time, ran along the front. It was not unusual to find a cowboy resting his foot on this rail. The walls of the saloon were adorned with patterned wallpaper, with a few prints enhancing the overall ambience. Hanging lamps provided the lighting, and the floor was made from plank boards, a typical choice for buildings constructed during that period. J. Y. Thornton, originally from Pennsylvania, arrived in New Mexico in 1870 after joining the United States Army. He served for 5 years with the 15th Infantry at Fort Stanton, where he was stationed. After being discharged in 1875, Thornton transitioned to civilian life, partnering with George Curry in the cattle business near Fort Stanton. Around 1880, the duo opened both a saloon and a hotel in Lincoln, New Mexico, further establishing themselves in the community. Thornton also ran the Pioneer Livery Stable in Lincoln, adding to his growing local influence. One significant event took place across the street from the saloon in 1881, when Billy the Kid, who was imprisoned in the town jail awaiting execution, managed to escape after killing his guards. This incident would go on to become an infamous chapter in local history, further cementing the saloon's place in the area's storied past. In 1895, Thornton relocated from Lincoln to Roswell, New Mexico, seeking new opportunities. His business partner, George Curry, originally from Louisiana, had met Thornton while working as the post trader at Fort Stanton. Curry became involved in local politics, serving in various important positions, including deputy treasurer, county clerk, county assessor, and sheriff of Lincoln County. He later served as a member of Theodore Roosevelt's Rough Riders and eventually became the New Mexico Territorial Governor after his time in the New Mexico Territorial Senate. Today, the historic Thornton and Curry Saloon still stands in Lincoln, New Mexico. The building, which has been preserved for its historical value, is now home to a restaurant that attracts visitors eager to learn about the town's rich history, Birdcage Theater, Tombstone, Arizona. The renowned Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona, opened its doors on Christmas Day in 1881. For the next 8 years, it remained continuously in operation, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week throughout the year. Also known as the Birdcage Opera House Saloon, this establishment was a unique combination of a saloon, gambling hall, theater, and brothel. It quickly gained a reputation as one of the most notorious venues in Tombstone, so much so that respectable women in the town would avoid even walking past it. In fact, in 1882, the New York Times referred to the Birdcage as the wildest and most wicked night spot between Basin Street and the Barbary Coast. During its years of operation, the theater was the site of numerous violent altercations, including gunfights and knife battles. Over the course of its history, 26 lives were lost, and the walls, ceilings, and floors of the theater were left with more than 140 bullet holes, many of which are still visible today. The theater earned its name, Birdcage, from the 14 private compartments suspended from the ceiling. These were used by the women who worked there, offering their services behind drawn curtains at exorbitant prices. In 1889, the Birdcage Theater closed its doors as a brothel and saloon, leaving all of its original furnishings and decorations in place. It sat unused for over 30 years, enduring the harsh desert sun. Despite this, the bar, furniture, and fixtures were never sold. In 1934, the Hunley family reopened the Birdcage Theater as a museum, carefully preserving its original elements. Today, it continues to be run by the Hunley family, offering a glimpse into the past with its intact 19th century decor. The hand-painted stage, where famous performers like Eddie Foy, Lotta Crabtree, and Lily Langtry once performed, is still in place, along with the orchestra pit and a grand piano. The original gambling table, where Doc Holliday once dealt faro, remains in the gambling parlor. The walls are lined with photographs of past visitors and original paintings that once hung in the establishment. The original bar, complete with its long mirror, shelves, and cash register, is still on display. Additionally, the museum houses the Black Maria, Tombstone's famous horse-drawn hearse, which was the first vehicle ever to feature curved glass and is valued at nearly $2 million. The museum offers an authentic representation of the past, with original carpets, drapes, and furniture that capture the atmosphere of the Old West. The front room, where the bar and other fixtures remain, continues to display its original wooden bar and artwork. Lighting fixtures hang from the ceiling, completing the historic ambiance. The Birdcage Theater is one of Tombstone's most cherished landmarks, offering a genuine look at the town's history in the Old West era. It is also reportedly one of the most haunted locations in the town, a tale for another time. Carissa Saloon, South Pass City, Wyoming. The Carissa Saloon, located in South Pass City, Wyoming, has been meticulously restored to reflect the typical atmosphere of a 19th century saloon. The furnishings and artifacts displayed throughout the establishment are period appropriate, offering a glimpse into the past. The saloon features the usual wooden bar, simple seating arrangements, and a piano, which would have been a common entertainment feature for patrons. The walls are decorated with items like antlers, a deer head, and vintage posters, contributing to the authentic look and feel of the space. Built around 1890 by James Smith, the Carissa Saloon was one of the longest-standing saloons in South Pass City. It took its name from the Carissa mine, which was the area's richest gold mine, situated on the hill above the town. The saloon itself was modest, providing basic furnishings and refreshments to its customers. The building measures approximately 21 feet by 31 feet and features a classic false front design. A storage room was constructed into the hill behind the saloon, adding to the building's unique layout. The original structure had 3.5-inch tongue and groove flooring, with the front room's walls made of painted gypsum board. In contrast, the rear room was constructed from logs, offering a more rustic feel. The ceiling in the main room was made of painted boards, while the rear room retained the exposed logs, maintaining a rough-hewn charm. Over the years, the saloon changed ownership multiple times. By the 1940s, it was operated by John Shorty Nichols, a local character known for his storytelling abilities. Eventually, the Carissa Saloon was abandoned and fell into disrepair. The structure suffered further damage in 1960 when a road grader accidentally struck the front of the building. However, in 1977, the saloon was carefully restored and reopened to the public as part of the South Pass Historic Site. Today, it stands as a testament to the area's history, offering visitors a chance to step back in time and experience the atmosphere of a typical Old West saloon. Montana Hotel Saloon, Anaconda, Montana. The saloon within the renowned Montana Hotel in Anaconda, Montana, was decorated with elegance. It featured a long wooden bar with a footrail, typical of saloons from that era, but with a distinct touch. It included bar stools, and unlike many others, there were no spittoons scattered across the floor. Behind the bar, 3 arched mirrors were framed with intricate pedestals and carvings, surrounded by shelves filled with bottles, glassware, and a cash register. The lighting was provided by glass sconces, and their reflection in the mirrors revealed a large wallpaper pattern and a painting, enhancing the sophisticated atmosphere. Marcus Daly, backed by the influential San Francisco syndicate of Hearst, Hagen, and Tevis, constructed the world's largest smelter on Warm Springs Creek between 1883 and 1889. Alongside this industrial development, Daly had a vision for a thriving city and filed the town's original plat in June 1883. By the fall of 1884, Anaconda had already grown to include 80 buildings, 7 hotels, 12 saloons, and numerous other establishments. In 1888, Daly and his partners formed the Montana Hotel Association and began work on the new Montana Hotel, which was completed in the spring of 1889 at an estimated cost of $125,000. Modeled after New York City's Hoffman House, the hotel was designed by Chicago architect W. W. Boynton in a blend of French Renaissance and Romanesque architectural styles. This grand 4-story structure was built from local red brick and featured terracotta ornamentation. It had a striking 34-foot wide central arched entrance. Inside, the hotel boasted 185 rooms with modern conveniences like telephones, steam heat, and an electric elevator. Many rooms were luxuriously furnished with canopied beds, marble fireplaces, and Persian rugs. The hotel's full basement was equipped with a servant's dining room, laundry facilities, boilers, and a dynamo for generating electricity. The first and second floors were finished in red oak and eastern pine and contained a variety of amenities, including the main dining room, a ladies' ordinary, a saloon, a chandeliered ballroom, a drugstore, and a barber shop. Following Marcus Daly's death in 1900, the Montana Hotel underwent significant renovations under the ownership of the Anaconda Company, costing $96,000. In 1954, the building was sold to Edison and Bell Inc., who operated it until 1959, when demolition plans were considered. In response, local citizens formed the Montana Hotel Corporation and purchased the property, renaming it the Marcus Daly Hotel. A restoration project began in 1964, and a modern motel unit was added behind the original structure. By 1975, the Montana Hotel Corporation faced severe financial difficulties, leading to the sale of the building to a local developer. Many hotel items were auctioned off in 1976, and the hotel was left abandoned the following year. In the years since, efforts to restore the historic hotel have been underway, with the remaining space being repurposed for retail and office use. Today, a group in Anaconda is working to bring the Montana Hotel back to its former splendor, preserving its rich history for future generations. As we've seen, saloons were not just places to drink. They were the heart of social life in the American Old West. These lively establishments were where legends were made, deals were struck, and history was written. Each saloon, from the quiet corner spots to the rowdy mainstays, told its own unique story of the Wild West, shaping the culture and personalities of the time. If you've enjoyed stepping back in time and exploring the rich history of Old West saloons, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories, deep dives into the past, and untold tales of the American frontier. You won't want to miss what's coming next.